Hello and welcome to JN Career Up. This is Nithya Natarajan. Today's guest, Ms. Ruhi Banerjee, is a visionary leader in education, career strategy, and women's empowerment with over 20 years of impactful work in schools, competitive institutes, and mentorship platforms. She has guided countless students and professionals towards clarity and purpose and is the founder of The Woman, a movement dedicated to uplifting and celebrating women. Her mission is to create not just degree holders, but confident, career-ready citizens who contribute meaningfully to Viksit Bharat. So welcome to the podcast series, Future Ready Students Insights from Education Leaders. Ms. Ruhi, you have over 20 years of experience across schools, competitive institutes, and career strategy. So please share with our audience what defining moment led you to see career coaching as a necessity in India and not a luxury.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Nithya. It's a privilege to be here on this show with you. And the first question coming my way, such an interesting and a beautiful question. Yeah, it's been more than 2 decades into this industry of education in various portfolios and roles, as you already know. So I've been very closely involved with the youth, the student of this nation. So in various capacities, like as a teacher, as a coordinator, headmistress, and then the head, the director, and so on and so forth, I gave my last stint into the profession as a VP of an educational organization. So during this entire period of 20 years and more, I was very closely monitoring children, guiding them beyond textbooks. That's been my passion, not the profession. What came to my note or something that was very striking is like I saw bright students with stellar performances and academic reports and still struggling with the reality or the complexity of life, how to articulate it and how to go about it. So one incident, like I had an IIT graduate with me on one of my session. So he says, ma'am, I can solve any complex equation or a concept you give me, but I really do not know what to do with my life. And that, I guess, I would dedicate today for that moment where I thought guidance is so needed to our children. And that's the turning point. India produces, Nithya, around 15 lakh engineers every year. And it's not my report. It's a report of the Aspiring Mind. Around 20% of engineers are employed, not aligned to their education. So that's a starking reality that we need to, it's a mismatch. And it screams, that is the fact that screams for guidance. In fact, this career coaching is not a luxury because here, we should not be just leaving students from academic performances just like that to scale or not the industry domain. We should also give them in hand a compass, which should give them this capital or the title of being career ready or industry ready. So with this overwhelming exposure or options in career and this scaling depth of recession, and you can call the high unemployability, these are the 3 factors it screams us or probably compels us to go for career coaching for our students. And that's what made a difference in my life.
That's really an inspiring story that you have shared with us. Thank you so much for that. And you also beautifully say that degrees make you qualified, but it's the direction that makes you successful.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So in today's academic landscape, how do you think schools and colleges can bridge that gap between qualification and direction?
Thank you so much for that quote of mine. Yeah, I do. That's my line. So degrees, thank you so much. The gap lies when academic institutions are functioning without real world context. I would reiterate and even say it twice. We must align our institutions to function, work, walk, probably with real world context in mind or in curriculum or in the vision. Every academic institution should just not have computer labs but also must have career labs. We should have industry experts visiting bi-monthly or once in a month to give mentorship modules to our children, giving them right from the horse's mouth insights of industry aspects or facts. Skill mapping, interest mapping, personality mapping, ability mapping should be a mandate right in grade 8 when children take on 13 years of age. So like I would quote Peter Drucker, who said the best way to predict the future is to create the future. The school should create the future by aligning its curriculum or studies or preparations, not only academically approachable, but also making them career fit or career ready or industry ready. So I think we should not only just teach them what to learn, but I would end, we should also teach our children why to learn that, which is missing in our education system. We missed it too. There were many times a question in your mind and my mind, why? Why trigonometry? I wish somebody told me at that point of time, your theta, sine theta, cos theta would account to this, and it would give a very new direction to my learning. So this is what is, I feel we must.
Right. And I always, share this with other educators and with students. Once you know, you have the clarity about the why you are doing something, or why you are learning something, or why you are talking to this person, why are you collaborating. Once you are clear with your why, the how will automatically fall in place.
Absolutely, I resonated completely. I mean, it's like you spoke my heart out. It all falls. Like you and I, when we are dealing.
Once we give the students that clarity of why you are learning something or why you are doing this project, they really get involved. They completely align with your program and, show so much of interest and participate willingly and meaningfully.
And it changes also, gives them a little push and nudge that, oh, something is so interesting. Probably I'll get to use it there. And then it becomes meaningful. Else, geometry in class 11th and 12th gets so boring, so meaningless. I wish somebody told us how important it is to be knowing calculus, integration. This is where derivations. So I feel our educational institute needs, we need to connect this. These dots need to be connected.
Correct. Okay, so Ms. Ruhi, you are also the founder of The Woman. What shifts have you seen in women's empowerment, especially in education and career decision making? And if you could name that one thing that still needs urgent attention, what would that be?
Yeah, The Woman is my very passionate venture. That's not my business venture at all. It's very passionate venture. It's absolutely not like any other platform or forum or club that is to be thought about. Yes, to your question, let me come back. This is such a beautiful thing that you've talked about today, which I never expected would come. We've seen encouraging shifts. Women in STEM, women in breaking financial barriers, people taking leadership role, women talking about, financial independence and market equities. It's become a mainstream conversation. So, but the urgent gap still remains. Why? As per the World Bank report 2024, 19.9% women, work age women, are just there in the labor department or the labor force. So this is career of women generally breaks. The potential goes neglected when we are acting or taking up the role of caregivers or when we give birth to children. So through Woman, this entire endeavor of mine, I felt women don't just need motivational talks. Women just don't need seminars and workshops. They need a comfortable ecosystem or a comfortable environment where they can network, where they can redevelop their business skills, probably join the dots that was left behind to take it up once again without being judged or without being felt left out. And more than anything, giving them that validation of self-worth. which is so importantly, empowerment does not come in 1 day workshop or 1 hour workshop. Empowerment is a continuous process to tell somebody or make a woman feel that, yes, I can decide, I can deny, I can choose, and I can dream. So this is, I feel, empowerment means to me, upliftment means to me. And that's what I do.
Yeah, great. And that's a very inspiring thing that you are doing, especially for women.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope I'm able to do up every day a little better of myself each day.
So you have also mentored students, graduates, and professionals. So if you have to prioritize and say these are the top 3 qualities that every career-ready individual should possess, what would that be?
Okay. Fortunately, yes, I have the privilege of more career coaching or mentoring the working professionals and the college graduates. I have last 20 years, I was with the school students. Seldom do I get school students and then I map them and take them ahead along with the parents in completely into the session. I feel the 3 things, if I have to give today, it would be agility, one thing. Second thing is self-awareness. And the third thing is ethical leadership. So like these 3 things, if I make a child or the youth of my country have it, I'll be a little 1 mile extra towards my goal of making a generation where there will be a huge change, and we'll have not job seekers, but job givers. And probably we'll have not people asking for paychecks, but would also be contributing to our nation somewhere down the line. So I feel agility. Why? Agility because every 2 years, 1 year, I and you, we should have the ability to upskill ourselves. And that is where agility comes. Self-awareness, we must know our strength, the SWOT. We must know our development areas. We must know where to apply which quality of mind to scale the optimized result there. And ethical leadership is, I would say, we don't need today leaders with vision. Of course, vision is required, but vision coupled with values would make a huge difference to this country, to the decades and the generations to come. So I think I would go with these 3. Privilege of working with a firm, with a forum where we are working towards Viksit Bharat 2047. And this reason is so close to my heart. Viksit Bharat 2047, my contribution would be to help India have a generation of able professionals who would not only contribute or earn for themselves, but would also contribute to the economic stature of my country, the GDP of my country, somewhere down the line. So that's what my dream is.
Right. So Ms. Ruhi, you have also worked closely with underprivileged youngsters through all the NGOs. So what does career readiness look like for someone with limited access, and how do you help unlock their potential?
This is such a beautiful question, Nithya. In fact, yes, I have a blessing of God that I'm associated with a couple of NGOs, and children who are, I won't say underprivileged, are differently privileged in various ways. That's how I put it. So like, yes, for them, career readiness starts with 2 things, that is exposure and belief. Exposure, because they lack, for them, career or profession is just what they know in their neighborhood. And second is like the belief that, yes, I too can make it, or I too can do it. So which when I coach an NGO child, or when I'm sitting with an NGO student, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is aptitude discovery. I make them discover themselves, to be one-on-one with yourself, to learn about yourself. Then I give them a little brief idea of the scholarships available that they can easily apply for, or I might help them, or the NGO might help them. And thirdly, I give them mentorship examples of people or mentors who are like relatable, not somebody out of the league. So it will be very difficult for them to believe. So there's one student I should mention today. She took up law in Delhi University, whom I mentored. And then she comes back to me saying that, wow, I am doing this, ma'am. So I remember I told her, I said, you are not what your background is, and you are what your potential is. So what you're today is not about your background. It's about what you carry within you, the potential that you are. So I think that's the power of early, compassionate coaching, guidance, or mentorship for such differently abled and children of our society.
Right, right. So once they have this, once they start believing that, yes, it is possible for me to reach my goals,
that confidence,
yeah,
that confidence,
that gives them a lot
that
of
belief,
confidence,
the
that hope.
self-worth. I think these people, being from that strata of the society, I and you people like us, we need to handhold them, give them a jerk and tell them, listen, you are worth it. Aham
Right,
yogyam asmi. If they can say that to themselves, I think half our work is done. The rest,
right,
half they themselves can scale.
right,
I
right.
feel
So it's
so.
basically the mindset that has to change.
Yes, the belief and
The-
of course the exposure. Exposure, Nitya, I would say even our children do not have. There are 12,500 career options today. And a couple of them, 50 or 60 of them, a student of 13 year would know. And if a parent is into the education sector, would know 100 of them. But beyond that, we need to have an exposure of all the career set present in this world today. So that
Right.
exposure has to not only go to NGO students, but to everybody. And the
Everybody.
awareness to parents that it is not a luxury, it is a mandate. You cannot just play with your children's doing a hit and trial method in this era. This era is supposed to be going with clarity and conviction, hitting the jackpot as early as possible. This era is of Google Maps, yaar. We need a map to reach a destination without any roadblocks, closure, derouting, rerouting, or traffic. So why can't we have clarity and direction and a GPS compass for our career crafting? Why should we? So this,
Right,
I feel, we need to work on ground to spread this awareness.
right, right. Completely agree with you. Ms. Ruhi, you've also been honored with multiple awards and recognitions. Can you please share with our audience how do you stay grounded and what keeps you moving forward with such clarity and purpose?
Uh, every award that comes my way is not an arrival, it's a reminder every now and then of my responsibility, and probably an extra mile to go. It keeps reminding me miles to go before I sleep. I take it that way. I stay grounded because I'm an army wife, as I told you. So you understand discipline and resilience, humility that comes in my DNA. So I've seen both war zones. We've been posted to the corners of our country, to the borders, and I've seen the scenario of a war zone and the school zone. And let me tell you, Nitya, both the places we need resilience. That's one predominantly there. So I move forward to reminding me every day or every morning about my why that you just talked about in the last question. That why, if it is made clear, that makes way to everything. How, when, and what. So I keep reminding myself of my why, my purpose, my ikigai. And every time that think of it, I'm reminded of I have to do so much to make a generation, probably be a change maker to a generation where we would have what I see today is we raise our children, we give them academic education, and everybody is moving to a foreign university in lure of something or the other. I understand you want a stamp of a foreign university. I understand. I relate to it. But I want you to come back to our country as well and probably make a change, be a change maker yourself to your own nation and add up to the contribution part, not in cash or in kind or anything, and probably increase the stature of my country when only a handful is not supposed to do it, but all of us are supposed to do our bit. So that's what I want to even every day remind myself, seeing a child saying, another child saying, yes, ma'am, I know where I have to go, what I have to do. And that is my ikigai that keeps me going. Here, I would also mention a very famous quote, which says, when you learn something, teach. And when you get something, give. So that keeps my compass aligned. I just take it that way.
Okay, that's really inspiring. A lot to learn from you.
No, not very good. Just me, Nitya, just like you. We both are like working towards something, and that's it.
I mean, yeah, you have something or the other to learn from each other, from everyone around.
Same. I'm absorbing so much from you. That's how it goes every moment.
Yeah, yeah. Unless we are like lifelong learners, we cannot thrive in this fast changing tech-driven world.
And
right?
Darwin's theory falls so correct. We have to keep on going. Time itself will force us forward. I mean, the theory of evolution, the survival of the fittest,
right.
it is working every moment. And none of us can evade that. We have to keep striving to learn every day.
Yeah, yeah. So unless we do that and we are flexible and we keep learning and adapt to the situation, we cannot survive.
It's so nice. We so relate on this.
Yeah, true. So, Ms. Ruhi, if you could change one thing in the Indian education system today to truly prepare students for life, not just for exams, what would that be and why?
Just one thing. Just one thing.
Just one thing.
There's a list.
I know.
Okay, just one thing. I would, the very first thing that I would do is replace rote learning with career readiness, or probably career mapping, career readiness, or career roadmap. I would replace textbook learning, theory learning, definition learning with that. Apart from that, this should also be a part of it. We are teaching students what to learn without ever asking them why are they learning that. Again, I would say, imagine if our report cards would also have how much life skills have you developed, or what is your verbal reasoning, your numerical reasoning, and your abstract reasoning scores are. Imagine how beautiful that would be, or how useful it would be for our students, for me, and for you. The new education policy has come into being, Nitya, 2020. It's an amazing change or a shift, but we have to execute it. We need executors on ground. We need to completely implement it down the line, even to tier 2, tier 3 cities in the rural areas, to each and every corner of educational institute. Otherwise, there's no point of naming NEP 2020. We need, my dream should be every child in India. What my dream, and which is a very, I don't think it's a far-fetched dream or a dream that cannot be made to reality, that each child must graduate not only with a certificate, but also with a career roadmap, a career guidance report. Where should I head out of my college or out of my university? Which direction? What are the upskilling courses I must take or I should not be taking? What are the personality traits that I need to be focusing on, or the areas I need to be developing, doing little things? I think that is what my dream would be. And that's one thing I would try to make a change or contribute in that direction.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because passing out from school, say for example, with a grade 12 certificate is not going to get you anywhere. Of course, the marks are important, that makes you eligible to sit for an entrance exam or apply to a college, but that's not everything. That's just like an entry ticket. But what do you do after that?
Nitya, even today we are making so many mistakes. I mean, as parents, we are making mistakes. As educators, we are making mistakes. We are sending our children for NEET coaching or JEE coaching without profile mapping, whether they are fit enough to be there. Are they befitting to be there with their interest, passion, personality, ability, skill set, mindset, IQ, EQ blend? Is it befitting enough to be there? So
Right.
without that, how are we sending our I mean, simple marks in a mark sheet, can they be enough to be guiding the child to be going ahead? This is where my question mark is.
Right. And only after, like, they say, for example, they did not get the cutoff marks, or they did not get the government seats, then we start blaming the child and making the child feel as if he or she is not worth.
And then we're losing them. Have you seen
Yeah.
the numbers?
Right.
If
Right.
I do not want to say those stats today in this podcast or this forum, but it is alarming. It is alarming, and we need to, the policymakers, the change makers, the directors, the mentors, the entrepreneurs, the educators, we all need to take a serious stand. I mean, unless we start at the grassroots level, we cannot bring about a change. There cannot be a shift in our thinking and vision. So this is where I leave my statement that a lot has to be done.
Right. Agree with you. And even without, like, finding out whether the child is really interested, really has the capability of doing it, has the passion to do it, whether the child, aligns with all the requirements of the field, we are just pushing them into NEET coaching and JEE coaching. And what happens when, after, a year or 2 years of their dedicated work, time, effort, money, energy, resources,
they're dropouts. We are having dropouts every day.
We highlight only the results and say, like, they've got a government seat, okay, we celebrate them. They don't get a seat in a government college or something, we ridicule them, we beat them up. And then there are so many other negative things that's happening, which is, like, really breaks your heart when you read all that.
And probably, Nithya, the child whom we are blaming or judging that he couldn't make it for the NEET or for the JEE or for any kind of niche entrance exam, where is the plan B? Where is the plan C that we've already equipped the child with? I mean, even at home, when we plan for an event, hum shadi ke liye bhi plan karte, we do something, we always keep a plan B. What if it rains? The decorator has to do this. So why can't we give the child a plan B, plan C, plan D? Okay, fine. If this does not happen, go there, go this, go. I think even parents need to do a lot of handholding and cooperation with us to bring about a shift. Alone, we cannot make a difference. Alone, parents cannot make a difference. Alone, children cannot make a difference. It's a triangle. And this triangle has to work together to bring about a change.
Right. Completely agree with that. Okay, so hopefully, the students, parents, and educators who watch this podcast analyze and see where they stand. And maybe get professional help to figure out, like, which direction their children should move on before they force them into joining these coaching centers or start preparing for the competitive exams. First, find out if the child is ready for this. If the child is cut out for NEET or cut out for JEE, then yes, you encourage the child, you motivate the child, give them the necessary coaching and everything, that's fine. But even before figuring out what the child actually is, because career guidance starts with self-awareness, and the child is not aware of the strengths or the weaknesses or the personality types, what the motivators are for the child.
Correct. And what exactly he or she also has a mindset, is also inclined towards something. When we are aligning the child to his passion and interest, he won't burn out, he won't fizz out, she won't give up. The quit thing will never be there in his journey, professional journey. He'll learn to adapt more, learn more, upskill more. Why can't we have this look? I mean, this is where I feel, and parents, children, educators, school people, we all should together spread. Even while going for a doctor's prescription and a treatment, don't we go for pathology tests? Don't we? Without a pathology test, are we heading for the right direction in treatment? Then why can't we have a pathology test in as a career coaching? And and then take your decision. Probably then you are moving with clarity, conviction, and a direction. So I think these three things ke bina, without this, it's a blind game that we are playing, and it's very dangerous.
Dangerous game.
Very dangerous.
Because you're not going to get back all those years of...
Those years, a child has taken a graduation degree with paying so much of hefty fee from the father's pay pocket, and I can't bring back the child. saying that you repeat your graduation course again. What, as a career coach, even my hands are held. I also compromise on that, so that the 365 days or probably 2 years that he's already been, I should not take him back, rather see ahead what exactly can be done. So there, I and you are also compromising a lot of things which we can tell them when they're in 13 years of age or 14 years of age. So this is the thing I would bring to the fore today, and try to reach out to everybody that this is very important. Kindly take it very seriously.
Agreed. So thank you so much, Ms. Ruhi, for being part of this episode and sharing your incredible journey, your insights and passion for shaping future individuals. It's truly an honor having you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
It's been my privilege and honor, Nitya, to be here on your podcast. And thank you so much. I hope together we make a difference to this nation. Jai Hind. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Jai Hind.